Hey everyone, this is an Amalgia video for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, and today we're going to talk about how to get through Cycle 1 of the Mine of Cathuriges. A quick rundown on cycles is that every time you go to a dungeon and beat it, you get a drop of myrrh from the tree. But when you get a drop of myrrh from a tree in a specific dungeon, that tree is exhausted for 2 years. After that time and the tree finally replenishes itself, that's when the dungeon enters its second cycle. It has harder enemies, sometimes the layout changes, and you can get better rewards a lot of the time. The mine is also the last dungeon that people with the free version are able to host games for. To get to the mine, you'll have to pass through a miasma stream on the first section of the world map. You should still be in year 1 at this point, and if you are, that miasma stream will be water element. On the world map, if you look in the lower right hand corner, you'll be able to see that it says what the current element of your chalice is next to the picture of the chalice. If your chalice is another color and you've already beaten Riverbell Path, all you need to do is go to the dungeon. You don't even have to enter it. You can just click on the front screen and then it'll ask you if you want to switch your element to water. Once you have the right element on your chalice, enter the miasma stream and head north to get to the second section of the world map. Once you're through, there will be a town here called Mars Pass. You can upgrade your weapons and armor there in preparation for the next dungeon. As you can see here, the mine is located in the upper right-hand corner of the map. Head on in to get started. At the beginning of the dungeon, you'll be able to set up your command list. In the early game, you don't really have access to a whole lot, but you may want to set a phoenix down or some food in case you run into trouble before you can get your hands on a cure magicite. The minecart you see here is going to be a reoccurring mechanic throughout the dungeon. You'll need to move it along the rails by hitting it from behind. Left is a dead end, but I recommend going there first so we can kill every monster and get every treasure chest this dungeon in Cycle 1 has to offer. A quick note for offline play. In online play, if you try to open your menu, everybody will still be able to move around you. But if you open your menu in offline play, the game actually pauses. This means that if you find yourself in a critical situation where you don't have enough time to heal yourself with Magic Cure, you can just open your menu and use a healing item faster. You can ignore the upper level because there's nothing up there. Something you may need to watch out for are the bombs. They can cast Comet, which has a big blast radius and does a lot of damage, but it's very slow for them to charge. They can also cast normal fire spells. Just be aware that every time you defeat a bomb, it will explode, so you need to get out of the blast radius. Like the other magic attacks in this game, the bomb's blast lingers, so if you run out but run back in too soon, you'll still get hit by the blast. You can hit the minecart forward again here if you want, but after this, pause with it so that we can hit the correct switch to get it on the right path so we can progress in the level. The standard orcs in this dungeon are very easy. They have a jumping taunt that does nothing but waste time, and their normal attacks are so slow you can just run around them and kill them before they have a chance to react. Near the minecart there will be 2 switches. The switch on the northern side is the one that you need to step on in order to align the track correctly. If for some reason you don't align the track correctly and it goes down the other way, the minecart will just reappear at the beginning of the level and you'll have to go find it and do it over again. After you dispatch these orc enemies here, head to the northeastern side of the room to get a treasure chest. If you're looking at your minimap, you may have noticed that there's a large upper level. You don't need to worry about it because there's no monsters up there and there's no treasure, so you can just kind of ignore it. We do have to head up that way a little bit in order to kill some extra monsters, but I'll point it out when we get there. Head north and take a left when the path forks. You may want to hit the minecart here to advance it forward a bit, or you can also just come back for it when you need it. This left path leads to a very long dead end, but over here are the extra monsters that we were talking about a minute ago. This tunnel leads to a lower level, and the first 2 enemies you'll encounter are bombs. Here I dodged the flame, but I ran back in too soon and still got hit by the fire. Although if your bonus point objective for this dungeon is take magic damage, then you can use the bomb explosions as ways to get more bonus points. Defeat this orc and then head around the circle on the upper level to get to a tunnel with more enemies in it. This path leads to that big upper level in the earlier room that we talked about. There's no treasure or enemies up there though, so once you kill the orc and the bomb in this hallway, you're free to turn around and go back the way you came. If you're wondering why we take these detours to find more monsters instead of going straight to the boss, it's because killing enemies and picking up items generally give you more bonus points. Having a lot of bonus points at the end of a dungeon can give you the opportunity to earn better artifact rewards. If you're playing offline solo, you only have to worry about how many bonus points you have. If you're playing online in a group, the total amount of bonus points that you all have collectively determines whether you can get the rarer items out of a dungeon. Each player can only pick one artifact, and the person who has the most amount of bonus points in the group gets to pick first. Once you've made your way back from the detour we took, kill the orc enemies and then get the treasure chest to the right. In the northeastern corner of this room, you're going to run into a new enemy that we haven't encountered yet, and he's one of the harder enemies in this dungeon. I don't know what these horned monsters are called, but they hit hard and they have a lot of HP. Their hammer attack has a high delay afterwards and gives you an opportunity to get in some strikes. They have a quicker punching attack, but the punching attack only has a window of maybe about one physical attack strike after it. When the enemy's finally defeated, this is when you're going to need the minecart in order to progress. If you already hit it and advanced it, it should be in this room, but if you have to go back to the south tunnel and grab it, do so. Here I had already stepped on the northern switch, but just remember you have to step on the northern switch in order to align the track correctly before you get to advance into the next section. If you forgot to hit the right switch before advancing the minecart, it'll just appear at the beginning of that south tunnel again, and you have to run back down there and advance it along the track. The good news is that once you hit this third section of the map, we no longer have to deal with the minecart mechanic. This room is large but relatively straightforward, so I'm just going to go through some of the highlights for it. There's a treasure chest on the southwest side of the compass, there's a treasure chest on the northwest side, and a third treasure chest on the northeast side. The enemies are wandering around near the treasure chests and in the middle, so it's hard to miss them. Once you have the 3 treasure chests, head to the northern part of the room. There will be another horned enemy to defeat, and it's the one that's holding the key to get to the last section of the mine. Something else to note is that there are extensive upper levels in this room, but none of them have any enemies or treasure chests on them, so you can ignore them. When this enemy goes down, pick up the key he drops and head north. It may be hard to see if he also drops a relic. Throw it into the key stand like you had to do in River Rebel Path and head on to the last area of this dungeon. This final area looks winding, but it's actually relatively straightforward. You can sneak up on a few of the orcs here if you have magic or long-range jumping focus attacks. A focus attack that isn't a jumping one will just get stuck on the wall if you try to snake the ring around the corner. Up here there will be some tracks and a switch, but since we're done with the minecart, we don't have to deal with them. Just dispatch the 2 orcs and then grab the treasure chest that's on the eastern side of the room. The track here continues to the right eastward, but just ignore it because there's nothing over there. Head north here to keep advancing. Coming up, there will be 2 more normal orcs, and then a treasure chest on the west side of this section. There will also be a divergent path, one that runs north and one that runs southwest. Once you've defeated the orcs and grabbed the treasure, head southwest. It's a dead end, but there's a hidden Moogle den down there. I'm not going to show you the inside, just know that you have to go inside and talk to a Moogle in order to collect a stamp for your stamp card. Dens can only be accessed, though, in offline play. Head back to where the fork was and head north in order to make your way toward the boss. This final section has 2 regular orcs and an orc mage. Orc mages are not that difficult, they just cast thunder magic and they're pretty easy to avoid. If you're ever in a situation where you feel that you are getting overwhelmed because there's too many enemies, you can always just run away and then they'll de-aggro and go back to where they started from. Once you've killed the last orc, get the treasure chest on the northeastern side and then head north to the boss. That track to the east keeps running east a little ways, but there's nothing over there. The boss of this dungeon is the Orc King, and he can be a little tricky if you're one of the characters that specializes in close-range combat. Like other bosses that spawn adds, there's usually 1 in offline play on Cycle 1, but maybe 2 or more in online play, so just be ready to take care of the adds before you deal with the boss himself. Sometimes the orc adds will try to hit you with their shields, which will stun you, and the boss might be able to land a hit on you in that time. If you're one of the characters that can keep a distance, either through focus tag, range, charging, or magic, it's a good idea, because he tends to favor Fira. Having him cast Fira is nice because it leaves him open while he's casting and after the cast executes, as long as you dodge it. One of the problems with trying to fight this boss at close range is that if you're near him and he initiates an attack, he'll choose to do the sweeping swing. It can be dangerous if you're playing one of the tribes that has low defense or if you're playing online, because the sweeping swing might hit your allies as well. As far as magic goes, ice seems to be the most effective element on this boss. Remember to be mindful of your party members and cast Cure on them if they need help, especially if you're one of the tribes that has enhanced magic casting speed like Ukes. At about 20% of its HP, the Orc King will start to charge up. What this is a large self-destruct attack. This is where everybody should drop what they're doing and just spam damage on him until he dies. Especially in offline play, make sure to use whatever type of damage your tribe is best at, because he can explode if you don't kill him fast enough. From the time he starts charging, you have about 20 seconds to take him down before he blows up. If for some reason you're not dealing enough damage and you do get hit by a self-destruct attack, it is possible to survive it. After he self-destructs, he stands there charred for a minute and the battle looks like it continues, but he'll just fall down dead. I'm not sure if letting him explode impacts your drops in any way, but it's best not to chance it. If you don't have an Earth Pendant yet, and you have the opportunity to take one in this dungeon, I suggest you do so. Also, for having over 100 bonus points, I have gotten out of this level on Cycle 1 a rare artifact that is +3 to a stat. Usually artifacts that raise stats by 3 are only available in later cycles, so you may want to grab that over an Earth Pendant if you see one. I believe this +3 artifact, called the Rune Bell, came from defeating the boss with enough points. Anyway, that's all there is to it. If you found anything in this video helpful, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.